You move in such a way that defied the laws of physics.
The way we understand them, yes.
Speculation is just creativity. Speculation is the beginning of hypothesis.
David Grush, who's a former intelligence official, he has knowledge of crashed alien spacecraft.
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do.
Understand there are two types of UAPs: clandestine but illegally managed, human, reverse engineered advanced technologies, and some are non-human intelligence.
We have truly crossed the Rubicon. This is a very historic event.
Out of this world.
My name's Augie. I'm a friend of Alex, and I've been a longtime fan of the Cosmic Vibrations podcast, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm Wiz. That's short for Wisanu. I'm also a friend of Alex and a longtime listener of the Cosmic Vibrations podcast. And I have been invited on before, and I'm just happy to be back. Appreciate you having us on, Alex.
And I'm Alex, a friend of you guys. Well, let's get down to brass tacks, okay? There's a lot of new news coming out about UFOs. And I know you guys have a little interest in the UFOs. That's why we brought you on here. But let's just start talking about this. I think the biggest thing to touch on is this is UFO speculation. So it's cool to get into that stuff and what this is, where they are and where they're from. And is it real?
What incidents have you guys heard of specifically as well? I
think what really stood out to me was the recent U.S. government committee hearing. David Grush and all those people, Commander David Fravor. Something they said in there that didn't get a lot of info didn't get a lot of press. I thought was really interesting is the guy who he hasn't seen any UFOs firsthand, but he said he's talked to many people who either had presented evidence or just worked on this stuff as contractors. And something they mention is they've had multiple ships since 1920. So that kind of confirms Roswell and kind of throws a whole wrench into the United States or the world history. But I find that really interesting that maybe if we go back, Roswell potentially could have happened with this new information, and that we've had spacecrafts, non-human origin spacecrafts since the 1920s. And if it kind of makes sense, because if you look at the 1920s, we're just figuring out flight to now, literally 100 years later, shit has gotten a little wacky. We went from these planks that can fly to a robot machine that can suck your dick. It's kind of it's pretty crazy jump.
I feel like there are multiple and there's multiple different branches to this tree where it's there's stuff that happened in the past, and then there's the stuff that's been happening the past 5 years that I feel like it's gotten a lot of attention. So there's Roswell, but then there's also these pill-shaped things that are being spotted by the Air Force and whatnot. Are they connected? Are they because the Roswell story is that it's a crash, right?
It was they recovered crash remains of some type of otherworldly.
Yeah, there's a big news article is something crashed. We found bodies, and then literally a day later, they're just kidding. It was a weather balloon. Non-human biologics samples were recovered from that. So it's the local press got a hold of it, published newspapers, and then there was a concerted effort to be just
and there was a cover-up, which I think something confirmed that was a cover-up. I don't remember if it was in someone's testimony or if it was in a document somewhere, but it was confirmed recently that was indeed someone admitted to actually making a cover story for that incident specifically as well. So very interesting.
So that's just pretty cool. Yeah. And then there's a lot of weird stuff happening now. I mean, what's obviously happening is information's coming out. That doesn't mean there's more frequent visits now. But they publicly released footage from the year 2000 That was the Commander David Fravor stuff. And I've heard some like debunking of that, like it could be a lens flare or something. But you have seen, like, you do see some weird footage where it's like a little orb going faster than what's humanly possible and then just dips in the water or like splits into two orbs.
That's the thing that's been super interesting is the water, like the ocean element. I feel like that's honestly like one of the most plausible places for them to be hanging out. And I feel like, yeah, because in a lot of the videos, it's like, oh, they went into the ocean. Oh, they came out of the ocean.
Yeah, it's usually very remote places, it seems.
Well, like, if we had to guess, what's the probability that we're being visited versus this is just like, for some reason, they're just lying to us. This is like a hoax to get more defense budget.
That's the question.
Well,
I mean, like, I think it's like, I don't want to, it's like, I could really see it going. Either this is like real and they're playing it very close to the chest because it would be a big deal, you know, like, why are people going to fucking pay taxes if there's aliens and shit? Like, it doesn't make sense to like, I think the collective ego death would be so insane if we all realized that it was real. But then also, it could be a distraction, you know? And I think people like claim things are psyops more than they usually are. But like, I think the alien subject matter is just so potent that it gets people's attention, like very, like, look at the thing in Mexico. Like, wasn't that that body was already debunked like in 2014 or whatever, and that they're just doing it again, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
The guy, it's like the same guy as well.
It looks so bad. Like, that's definitely not anything, dude.
Like,
I was happy
than a movie prop.
I was happy that another country was stepping up to the conversation, though. I feel like it's just been like a U.S. subject for so long. I'm happy that Mexico threw their hat in the ring and they want to get in on some of the
let's
action.
give it a shot. Yeah, because I mean, if it was confirmed to, it would be like full on social, religious, economical, like total resets. Like people who were like believing. Yeah, the old, like, how would like ultra religious people react to that? It just kind of throws a lot of stuff out the window too. But have you guys heard of this for something outside the U.S. of like all the kids who's I think it was like in Africa or somewhere, or maybe South.
I think it was in Brazil. You're talking about the Brazil.
Was it Brazil? Like all the kids were visited by like a spacecraft as well, and then.
I didn't hear about that.
Like it was like in the 80s or maybe not that long ago. But it was like a whole school. It was like 200 eyewitnesses. They all were taken independently and all their stories line up. And it was kids and like these little aliens came. They made drawings of it and they're like, we're here to help you save the human race. And then, it's like, it's really interesting. What is that? Is that like a group psychosis or is that beings? It's scary. It's a little scary.
Well, because it's kids, so it's like likely not a bunch of people on drugs, right? I mean, like that's kind of
shouldn't be, unless they were drugged. But
but to have a shared experience like that is tough.
Yeah, and then to also individually go and find each one after the incident as well, and have them recount the information that still lines up.
I mean, on the religious angle, this is how I think about it. It makes sense. It really does make sense to me on the religious angle because every religion says the same thing. There's some higher being than us. They came down and helped us. Maybe there's a light in the sky, aka angels. They fly.
There's always a big snake.
They live up there. You know, they come down. To me, you know, I'm being very general with that, but to me, it makes sense because, like, I think as people, we get way too caught up in language. But like words can mean multiple things. So wouldn't like an angel literally be UFO? It's just a different word for it.
Yeah, it totally 100% could. I think at least on the Christianity angle, I think people are just a little too obsessed with it being a white dude with a beard. But like there's a pretty good probability that it's just a bunch of like, it's like the alien from that movie Paul. Like imagine if that's our fucking god, dude.
I mean, that's like this. That's the Santa story, dude. That'd be like Santa's an alien, big fat dude comes, gives you gifts. He's got little like midgets to help him out. You just gotta feed him cookies and milk. So it's not out of the, or it's not like, to me, it's like, yeah, it's a crazy concept, but it's also like, it's not that far of a stretch from the reality we live in now, especially if you're very religious. Like I get people are very religious. They're very connected to the holy text. However, that text is proven to be written by humans. Maybe they were inspired by a higher power, like gave them the words, but it was written down by humans with human language. So that language isn't set in stone. So, fucking, word for angel could be UFO, all this shit. So.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there, I mean, just on that like language point, there was like a pretty big scandal, I think in the Catholic Church, like this was several years ago now, but like there was some new like they found some other text that said like, oh, Mary Magdalene was actually Jesus's wife. And everyone's like, well, wife didn't actually mean what it means now. And it's like, bro, I think he was like having sex with Mary Magdalene. Like, I think, language is definitely very flexible. And they just said like, it's the same, but different, like,
well, I've even heard, I've even heard like, if you go to the original language of the Old Testament, they updated this later, but they didn't know how to solve this issue. There's like 20 references to God, different words. So that almost makes it a polytheistic religion. So it's like there's Yahweh, there's other words. So there's multiple words that meant God. And then when we get to the King James version, they're just like, there's one God. It's all the same. So there actually was different words. So we're definitely maybe not the purest form of this text. But if you actually really believe in this text, it would make sense then that this UFO shit is real. And the UFO is just the modern term, the modern English term for whatever these guys were experiencing in the desert.
So let's assume let's go with UFOs are real. Like the sightings are all real. Everything's real. What do you think the likelihood is that they are like creative beings and like we came from them? Or do you think they're just a completely separate thing that like we just happen to be crossing paths with?
It could be both, not at the same time, but like it could be either or. And also, like you mentioned before, like how many of the different incidents were related. Like maybe some certain ones could be stuff we're just crossing paths with, and maybe other interactions are like the ones that actually, I guess, created us would be the term or the phrase to use. But or like even going back to the UFO point, they could be like how you saying, like they're like the biblically accurate angels. How it's those orbs and stuff just turn into those spine or tentacly stuff with all the eyes as well. So I feel like just judging by the interactions, it could be like just something that's visiting or like maybe testing out ways to interact with us, as opposed to creating. But also, it could also be like surveillance things sent by something that created us. Like, well,
I've also heard I've also heard the theory that like we've been like ever since Roswell, like they being like the government, CIA, whatever, they know aliens are real. And so we've just been getting conditioned for the past like 70 years or whatever on the idea that they're here. And then there's going to be like a big drop at some point. And like, obviously Mexico thought they had the big drop, but they got some old props. So
they got a cake. Yeah.
They're like, go live with it.
Got a cake.
Yeah. It'll be there'll be like an official soft launch at some point.
Dude, that's a tough part with this, because it's like getting mainstream again. We're actually talking about it seriously, but then shit like this always happens. You got scammers that are like, look at this 3-foot alien I found in my backyard, and it's just like that. And then that shit gets on the news cycle, and that like delegitimizes the topic.
Oh, for sure. It makes it. I mean, because like the people in the government that would have any interactions with the craft or like be part of those projects, like they'll never be a whistleblower, you know, because it's just like social suicide. Like, it's
what do you think would be like your like the best scenario it is to like launch the idea that like for like humanity to accept it? Like, what do you think would be?
I was actually thinking
how would you go about that?
I was thinking about, because I was like, if I was Joe Biden or whoever, I'm going to declassify everything. We live in like a weird time where like if the US pulled to Mexico and we're like, all right, we're going to show the non-human biologics on the Congress floor, there would be a sizable population that's like, that's not fucking real, man. Like, even if they were like, yo, we're showing you this. Yeah, this is everything we have. They'd be like, that's not real. Like, you know, if Trump showed the aliens, I believe Trump. Like, you know, it would just be like, it would be so political, like for no reason. It's
like, what about the laptop? We live in such a, and I think we've always been like this, but we live in a especially weird time with the news cycle with AI, where people have known nothing about video. They'll see a video and they're like, that could have been AI. Or like you'll see people post on Instagram, like literally just like a common glitch, and they're like, see, Obama's a serpent or some shit, you know, like people just pretend like they're experts.
You can see his gills.
So I could see them like going live with it, and then you get like the conservative religious base, like, you know, this is like they're trying to sell your soul to Satan or something. Something crazy like that. It
would just become a whole thing.
What I would do
in denial.
What I would do is I would do a road show. I'd sell at arenas and bring the body, dude, and you can come like check it out.
Like a circus act.
But this is what kind of annoys me about the government is, okay, well, first off, if we go back a little bit, a lot of presidents have gone in with, like, for instance, Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. When he became president, he's like, I'm going to declassify that. And then right when they go into office, they quiet up and they don't say anything. Trump did a similar thing. We've had multiple presidents mention this stuff. So that's interesting. So it's either like they're being silenced or they see the truth, and either it's very scary and they don't want to talk about it. Like, it's obviously like for them a national security issue. But what really upsets me about the government, I hate the idea that they feel like they need to baby us and that we can't handle the information. To be honest, if they just came out and were like, yeah, there's aliens, they've been here for a while, they fucking genetically engineered us, I think people would get over it in a week. Like, I really don't think it would throw people off that.
That's true. But do you think, just to maybe, like, what if they're like, oh, like Jimmy Carter, I saw an alien. Do you think that, like, what do you think the chances are that they go in and the NASA or the CIA or whatever is just like, here, come check it out, and they go into like a warehouse and there's like nothing. They're like, we have like nothing. Like, it's all just been like a complete, like, you know, like maybe that's why they don't talk about it. Like, maybe there's not much to see.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because I mean, I guess like, how could they scare them? It would, I mean, like, it would completely shift the fabric of society if it's real, obviously. So like, that's a pretty good reason not to bring it up, I guess. But it's like, like on the babying point, it's like, it's such a big thing that like, it's not really a political issue at all. Like, I think people have the right to know one way or the other. Even if they were like, yeah, like I went to Area 51, there's like nothing there. We just have like, you know, like we're working on a new Doritos flavor or something. Like,
yeah, Cool Ranch too.
It's a possibility.
Cool Ranch.
I'm not sure if that,
Or if they're like, yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you. It's like, yeah, like I'm like, they brief me and like, we got something. Yeah. Which is like, I hope they do.
To know.
I hope they do more of those congressional hearings though, because I feel like that's a good step in the right direction.
It seems like people are trying, and the stigma's going away a little bit, but there are a lot of verifiably normal, you know, like like responsible people that are coming forward and be like, yeah, this shit's kind of real. Like we've heard from the wacky people before, but even there's shit like Bob Lazar, you know, and a lot of that shit, that story's kind of adding up. I think it was like Element 115. He talked about these like disc tic tac ships and stuff, and like
that's the thing is at this point, I feel like the likelihood of there being something is higher than there being nothing. Like there's too much information, and like a lot of the videos fake, whatever, Mexican alien fake, sure, but like
people are gonna try to profit up anything, you know.
And like the guy that testified, what's his name, Grush or something?
Yeah, I'll say David Grush. Dude,
like he's apparently pretty legit. Like
it's
like, what do you stand to gain from like making all that up? Like he's ending his career. Like, you know, it's like a weird thing to fake.
Yeah, and he's trying to come out and have the most disclosure, or at least provide as much disclosure as he can as well. But because I know he had mentioned, like going back to the president's point as well. I mean, there's like top secret class, and then there's like special access programs and controlled access programs, and then there's like a class that's above top secret. It's like TSSCI clearance or something in regards to.
Are you talking about Q level clearance?
Like
because
top
there's Q level clearance.
Or like black level clearance or whatever.
I'm pretty sure I think that's where QAnon comes from. Like, I think, isn't the whole thing with QAnon that Q level clearance is like the top level of clearance, and like there's someone with that clearance that's like dropping information. I think that's the whole thing.
I thought it was just someone whose name, like on the Reddit, was like Q or something. The
fact that aliens are more real than like JFK Jr. being resurrected or whatever is like hilarious.
Yeah. If aliens were confirmed to be real 100%, then what do you think that means for other conspiracies? Because then that just completely opens the floodgates of like other weird shit going, like cryptids and stuff on Earth as well. And because I assume if one major thing gets confirmed, and then it's like, oh, what about all this? Like,
those are less crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
the Earth is hollow.
Yeah,
hollow Earth.
Hollow Earth. There's dinosaurs living 2 layers down.
Tough to say because I feel like I think it's on like a case by case basis, because like aliens is one thing, Bigfoot's kind of another thing. Bigfoot to me feels like pretty definitive. Like, yeah, they were like used to maybe be a Bigfoot, but like you would think like ocean stuff is like really where I don't know, you know, like like
stuff is like
like Loch Ness monster, like giant sloths and stuff. Like I feel like that's like a little more plausible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because so we're in the age of information, and now with the internet, you know, the world has shrunk and more news is out than ever. So I think as we start to learn more, we actually start to realize how weird reality is that we're living in, and how little we do know. And what's interesting about this UFO stuff is, I mean, if you even look into mainstream science, high level science, it is the weirdest, most sci-fi shit you've ever heard. So from my understanding, Einstein, what he proved is that there's 12 dimensions. We as humans are living on the 3rd dimension. I'd like to argue that we have 5th dimensional brains, because we can think of the past.
Well,
having a 3rd dimensional experience. But
isn't 4th dimension time though?
4th dimension is time. Fifth dimension is like transversing through time, I believe.
Yeah.
Or like all multiple timelines.
Okay.
And, you know, at least the human psyche we can envision. And what's interesting about the brain is, let's say DMT, aliens. And what's interesting about the brain is, if you relive a past, like let's say you have a past memory, you relive it, your body in a way almost feels like you're actually living it. So you release like those hormones in a similar fashion. You almost like you're experiencing it. And that's same with like future anxiety. So that's a really interesting revelation. But with him proving 12 dimensions, you also start to think about, then does that mean there's consciousness on every dimension? And what would a higher dimensional consciousness visiting a lower dimensional consciousness look like? And what's weird about a lot of this UFO stuff, they're a little human-like, so that could be the argument that it's like the future of us fused with tech without, they don't have penises, they got weird big eyes and big heads. And
that's the other angle on this, is that it's us in the future, which is a pretty common theory.
It's the future liberals want, dude.
Yeah.
But
big eyes and no dicks.
And if you hear about a lot about this UFO stuff, they move weird, but they also just like will fade in and then just fade out, like out of existence, almost like they're going through a different dimension. So that's tech that we can't even comprehend. So there is something interesting that maybe it's our we're their ancestors and they're visiting us because it's a pivotal time in some way. And you could say that's, I'm biased. I live in this time. It's a little egotistical, but humans are pretty cool. And we're in we could go many different directions. We're in a very strange time. We can either all get destroyed in an instant or all become cyborgs in an instant. There's or we just become these fucking enlightened, futuristic Greek philosophers or some shit. There's a lot of weird ways we can go. We can also go the Dune route. That'd be the coolest route, I think.
That's something I've been thinking about, though. It's it feels like we specifically are living at a turning point of some sort. And I don't know if that's something that everyone's always felt or if it's actually true,
Yeah.
I think is this the time when aliens are revealed? We're in full blown, we have AI, we're, there's a lot of different stuff.
Well, it's also why would they be here?
Yeah.
What are they here for? Is it just is a zoo? Are they observing? Oh, well,
could
why did they lose their penises? Or what?
I remember I mentioned to Roberto, I was like, yeah, UFO thing's really weird. I wonder why it only happens in the US. He's like, dude, the US is the zoo, dude. You want to go to the zoo.
And to be fair, it's not just the US.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I actually learned that it's not just the US. There's Russian stuff. There's
hear about it.
There's sightings in the Ukraine war. There's literally in France, they have a UFO division. Israel's come out and is there's actually an intergalactic society that we're trying to join or some shit. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can even go deeper, even look at our southern neighbors, Mexico. Is it Quetzalcoatl, the serpent god? The way their civilization was developed is they said this dude flew from the heavens and was the bringer of civilization, which is very similar to Mesopotamian, Sumerian, and all that stuff. So
even Greek and Norse as well. There's always a giant snake involved.
Giant snake. I've heard that explained as a comet, which I think is a good explanation because comets have tails and they're the bringer of death. So obviously you'd be afraid of that, especially if we were wiped out at one point, which we most likely were, as we're starting to learn throughout the Ice Age. There was a big cataclysmic event. Yeah. But there's a lot of interesting stuff, dude. I really like this is what's cool about this is it opens up history, where history I think can be a little set in stone, a little boring, where it's just it's just fucking hairy cavemen with loincloths throwing rocks at each other.
And then the Industrial Revolution.
And then we started farming. We all got together and yay, internet, But when you start to look at it maybe it wasn't so linear and we've actually had the same brain capacity for almost 1 million years. So that's really interesting. And just the idea.
Well, and also, sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, didn't the human brain increase in size by 20%, 4 million years? Some really short amount of time. It's how come chimps and other primates haven't really been evolving like that? They've been around for forever. And
that definitely makes me think of that. Yeah, there's a stone ape theory, which is foraging apes were following big mammals who would shit, and then they'd eat the mushrooms out of there, and then they were like, "Whoa, we should talk to each other." Which that does kind of make sense because that would cause abstract thinking.
Yeah, it's empathy
and acute hunting abilities. But that's why I kind of gravitate to, and I like the genetic engineering angle because we are so different than our closest species. And you could argue there's whales and shit. And yeah, whales are fucking weird. Orcas are weird. But orcas aren't on a Zoom call speculating about UFOs. You know what I mean? That we know of. We haven't found their YouTube page yet.
We haven't seen it yet.
So we're definitely, there's something different about us. And that is a human-centric angle. But I don't know. Humans are kind of very fascinating and incredible. So
and as far as we can
that's where
tell,
I understand the divine inspiration of people saying like a higher power or something.
Yeah, as far as we can tell, we have the most complicated like emotional spectrum too, which also has been kind of referenced as like a interaction point for these like higher beings that might be coming down. And yeah, so I don't know if that's maybe.
I think the engineering thing is definitely very compelling. I feel like that like could potentially, yeah, like I think that could, like, circling back to like, why doesn't the president talk about it? It's like, I mean, that would be like the bomb of the century to like tell people that we were socially engineered by fucking aliens, man. Like,
yeah,
is that a bomb though? Because Christianity, we're creating God's image. We're creating an alien's image. You just change the word out. Buddhism, or not Buddhism, sorry. Buddhism, they're based. But, you know, what's the other one? Krishna and all those people? Hinduism. Their fucking gods are blue dudes. Come down with multiple arms, like, and are immortal, dude. That's an alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't get the big why is this a big fuss, dude?
Because, dude, I think you're like underestimating how much religion is I mentioned jokingly, it's like, oh, it's got to be a white guy with a beard. I literally think people think that, like, because there's the whole line of like, God created us in his image. I don't look like a fucking alien, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not a blue elephant.
I got a penis.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm speaking purely from like a Judeo-Christian point of view, because that's my background. But like, yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, maybe, dude, maybe like religious people would be the most chill with aliens. They'd be like, oh yeah, it's like, maybe they wouldn't see it as God. They'd be like, oh, it's another one of God's creations, you know?
They'd be like, so can we stop circumcising our kids?
Let's keep
Wait, circumcise the alien?
You guys didn't want us to do this? What am I going to do with all these foreskins I have here?
Just have a whole jar in the basement. That's kind of useless.
So if we want to go down the scary rabbit hole, I've definitely explored, you know, the schizophrenic, like conspiracy theories, which are why this is kind of scary is like, at least what people say is like, these are quote unquote demons. They're maybe from a lower dimensional plane and they're trying to come here to like suck souls out of us in the youth. And there's rumors, well, like speculation, I think is a better word for it, that like the way we got this tech was through like a exchange. So it's like, well, what did we give them? Did we give them like a fucking bunch of people? You know, like what's going on with that? So there are speculations why people are scared about this is like, you know, maybe we're a little too, optimistic and these could be like evil beings.
I was thinking about this recently, which is the idea of like, what if there are aliens living among us? You know, what if we're in a they live situation where it's like they've like extracted souls or whatever. And
well, I think there's potential for both to exist in terms of good and bad aliens, at least to our perspective, because, you know, just look at humans alone. You have some humans who are good, some humans who are like, you know, built more complete, some with anomalies, some with, you know, like serial killers, they're like sociopaths and stuff. And then you can only assume there'd be even more options for a whole universe with aliens.
But to push back on that, even just you saying good and bad, those are human constructs. You know? Oh
yeah, that's why.
Like being good is just like what allows our society to function. Like extraterrestrials, they might have like a completely different like morality or no morality. Like it's just survival. Like,
and let's think about what type of beings,
how far that extends.
What type of beings would make the trek millions or billions of light years to Earth? Is it like, hey, we're peace loving, or is it like the Gordon Gekko fucking like sociopathic aliens that just want to harvest energy for their fucking propellers, and they need human souls for that?
Could be conquerors or something. Yeah.
It's like American Psycho aliens.
Yeah. I mean, also, like you mentioned, in terms of them visiting now as like a turning point, we just came off the back of 2 world wars, just figured out the whole atom bomb situation. I mean, for our generation, especially too, we kind of lived through the rise of technology and seeing what it's exploded into now with everything, with AI just being introduced. Maybe they perceive that as like a universal threat, which is why there's so much more that are showing up now. But at the same time, there was no internet around with Roswell. So who knows how many interactions even happened, which took place from there and before too. So,
and that's my thing. Like, I think,
boom.
We're 3 pretty open males. We're open to ideas. So maybe more people are closed-minded. Maybe that's why the alien thing wouldn't work with them. But we kind of grew up on the precipice of it. But tech, dude, that's why it's hard to like think of this objectively. Tech isn't alien shit that we live with. Like this weird, like it can keep you alive. There's electricity. I can just like call people through the air. Like it doesn't really.
There's the cloud of information.
It's definitely a little sci-fi. Like look at the sci-fi movies from 80 years ago. They didn't even get close to like where we're at now.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like weird alien shit already happening.
Well, and it's also like the sci-fi concepts that they were thinking of. Oh, a flying car. It's like, okay, if we had flying cars, like, would it change like day-to-day life? Yes, but I don't think it would change things as much as the fucking internet changes things, Like it's not like a social
predict,
It's not like a social reconstruction like being on your phone all day is, or like like I mean cars are cars, you're like whatever.
Dude, I feel vulnerable without my phone. Like we're in a state we are connected to tech. Like we're kind of the first stage of cyborgs. It's crazy. I've had people like, wait, you're leaving the house without your phone? That's crazy. Like it's weird how quick we've gone in this baby mode. Yeah,
it's like a monitored. It's like like the magic black box of hypnosis or something. It's freaking crazy. But it's like another layer.
We should all shatter our phones on the air right now. We should all just like fucking snap our phones.
So let's get into speculation territory. Let's say
aliens versus AI. Who wins?
Who takes over first?
Well, I'm more thinking too, like, let's say they're here, we're about to launch the news. So let's get us ahead of the curve and our viewers. What's next, dude? Is it like study abroad in Alpha Centauri?
Well, there'll be an image of like the president of the United States, like we're doing like the handshake with like an alien,
some tentacle being,
like in the White House.
I mean, everyone's asking this. Can we have sex with them?
Dude,
it's a good question. You can certainly try. I mean, I mean, I recently worked on like a comedy sketch video, and like the premise of it was like, what if we communicated with them via sex? That'd be kind of fun. It's like it's like a rival, but you have to fuck the alien to like understand anything. I'm like definitely growing more and more into the idea that like maybe not even just humans, but like a lot of the life on Earth maybe came from them, because like whenever you see just like different animals, it's like, dude, like,
dude,
how like,
do you think there'd be like almost like how like with like a coming out in a sense of like some aliens that were already living among us, and it turns out like a friend this whole time has been an alien or something? Like the amount of social ramifications that would have too, like it's almost like coming out the galaxy.
I'd like to believe that they are friendly, and that it's just consciousness in the universe wanting to reach out and connect, because that's ultimately what humans want. Even in our darkest moments, we just want to like connect, I guess. But
Yeah.
that would be cool that we all get along. I mean, I'm hoping that they are here and they want to help us out, and they see the complex issues we've gotten ourselves into dealing with our monkey and lizard and
I mean, if we go into full-blown Star Trek where we just coexist, that would be tight.
Awesome.
Like,
yeah,
dude, something about Star Trek.
Dream.
Something about Star Trek
they're
love.
like, we found.
And they like, this is a cool concept, is they don't have a currency. They're just like, you need something? Yeah, we'll make you a spaceship. We need that future.
Yeah.
Money's such a reductive thing. Like, I get you have to have a something to like, categorize resources, but it's just sad that there's so much potential in the human creativity, and we're the only species on this earth that do this. But we have to, like, every thought has to come down to monetary. Can I do this? Can I eat this? Can I go meet this friend? And that's such a reductive, like, sad feeling that we've been conditioned into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the galactic scale, it makes complete sense that there's life out there and potentially multiple forms of life. And there's the whole Fermi paradox. Where are they? One step of the Fermi paradox, though, is that we don't have the tech to even register. They could be everywhere. We just don't know. We're not on the right frequency. We're like shooting fucking AM radio waves at them. They're like, what is this bullshit? I want to listen to Johnny Cash or whatever you're sending me.
Blocked signal, yeah. I mean, how long do you think it would take after their like announcement and such that it's okay, aliens are fully public, to be like, okay, like, do they start sharing tech right away? Are they just kind of hanging out still? Like, when do you think?
I feel like we'd have to learn how to communicate with them.
Yeah,
that would be like
at the very least
priority numero uno. Yeah, like we got to be able to communicate with them. What do they want? Do they not want anything? Do they want souls? Do they want, all the lithium in the earth or some shit? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's super interesting. I think best case scenario is there's like a galactic federation that they're like coming to invite us to, but they're like making sure that we're ready for it. Worst case scenario is it's they live and they're like consuming our souls and like,
but there's
eroding us from the inside.
The Sith Empire was a galactic confederation. Here's the question.
True.
How do we know if they're demons or angels, or is that just a flawed version of the human brain where we have to make everything binary and instead of a shade of gray?
It's probably going to be some shade of gray. They'll probably look like a shade of gray. It'll,
they're like, look, we'll be your friends, but we have to take every Mexican soul.
Take it. Yeah, I'm like, I have horrible Mexican friends. I have Mexican friends, but I'd be like, you guys are going to take the L on this one.
Sorry, buddies. I need this better internet.
Yeah.
We got to figure out if we can fuck these aliens. And it's like, we're trying to get down to brass tacks here.
There is kind of the based angle, which is at World's End, the Edgar Wright movie where the aliens are like, we want you to join the Galactic Confederation. They're like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah. Not interested.
We just get drunk and go back to the Stone Age. That's kind of uniquely human, which is fun about being a human.
Yeah.
That I also really like the little section in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where they're like, there's like an alien race that's planning on invading Earth, but they like miscalculate. They think they're like 100 times the size of humans, but they're like 1/100th the size of humans, and they manifest on Earth as like flies, and we just like swat them away. Like,
that book's so funny, dude. Like absurd.
It's so good, comedy. Dude.
Like flies and mosquitoes.
That's like one of the only books that's made me like laugh out loud.
So, have you guys heard the theory about humans actually being like space orcs?
What's that? What's that theory?
That like oxygen and water, like H2O, is like one of the most dangerous substances in the entire universe, and we're the only creatures that can survive off that. Like, we need a special spacesuit to confine oxygen to breathe and to drink water to survive. But like, it's super poisonous and toxic to other species, which is why there's like been no interaction. Well, it's only been like ship covering it for the most part. So like, and we're also like a very naturally I don't know about naturally, but there's a lot of like violence in human history as well. So they're like, what if this whole time we're actually like the space orcs in a sense? And
We're
like,
the bad guys.
we're the bad dude, like we're the Empire or something, and like going around pillaging.
I mean, you can see it, like how much guilt we have, and like how much you just see. Like, there's a common sentiment today is like the human being is a plague on this earth, which I totally don't agree with. But there is something to that we are very flawed creatures, and we all have complex emotions that we deal with. So that is really, like they're like trying to check us out. It's funny because every time a UFO comes, we just try to immediately shoot it down. Like, you hear about all this stuff.
Yeah.
But you made me think about like, what if there is some sort of consciousness or being that can just live in space, like a space dragon? Like, we have no concept for that. Like something that goes around and like eats stars or some shit. And you can even get to the fact of like, what is a star? What is a planet? Does that being, it's just like cells equal one multi-celled organism. Is a planet an organism? Does the sun on a different time scale an organism?
Well, there's also like, isn't like a high percent, I want to say like, this is total bro science, but I like 50 to 70% of the universe is dark matter. Like, what if they're all just hiding in dark matter? Like,
what? We don't even know what that is. I think it's 95% of the universe is dark matter, and we still don't know what that even means.
And it's just it's just a name for something. Like, we just
is that just a whole civilization that's existing like under some like fifth dimensional like invisibility cloak that like we can't see,
and you can only peek through with the if you go deep into the meditation realm or a psychedelic experience.
Dude, dark matter is just like other dimensions, like almost like portals.
I will say I personally had one UFO experience, which I was like, I wasn't a direct witness to it, but people around me were, but I was kind of a participator in it, which is I was into the Stephen Greer deep meditation where you'd meditate and summon UFOs. So you could go to a meditation state, kind of like leave your body, leave the earth, leave the galaxy. And then you pretty much invite the aliens. You go, come here. And then you go back to your body and like you could see lights or something that happened. So I did on a little bit of mushrooms, and I was with two Latinas who Latinas are notoriously into esoteric stuff. So they get a little freaked out. So I don't know if they're the most, like I feel like Americans, we come from we think a little bit more like skeptic stuff, where in Latin American communities, they don't even want to talk about ghosts or any of this stuff because they're afraid they're going to summon it. So I don't know if they're most reliable.
Say the name and it'll summon. Yeah.
But I was in the deep meditation state, and I remember like it did feel like I was like communicating with something. Yes, I was on some substances. I did get to a weird frequency, and like it felt like something was here, and I like invited it. And the people I was with said they saw a bright light like hovering over us. It was weird. I couldn't even open my eyes. I was like, I didn't want to, or I was like deep in the state. So I did have that experience, but I also like, in the same time, I didn't believe them. So there is that interesting angle of like how potentially powerful the human brain is. And you hear stories of people summoning stuff, summoning these entities. And especially if you go to like these saint figures, if they have like a serious spiritual elevation, they're able to get there and summon a bright light or something. There's something interesting about that. And we still are we're constantly figuring out stuff about the world around us. So yeah, that's my only like direct experience with it, but I'm still a skeptic from that because I personally didn't witness anything.
I feel like there's definitely probably some sort of connection between meditation and or psychedelics and, other realms per se, because I haven't had like a breakthrough experience. I've never done like an insane amount of mushrooms or anything, but it does kind of like reveal the grid per se. And like you get a little more in touch. Like the most basic thing that everyone mentions is you get more in touch with nature, and like maybe our nature is more like closely tied to like extraterrestrial life than like we think it is, And like I haven't done DMT, but people talk about the elves, they talk about, interacting with stuff like that. I think that should, I think that's interesting and that's worth looking into.
I always thought that mushrooms kind of felt like the speed ramp where you want to get to when you do meditate. Especially like off of, I don't know about a microdose, but at the very least, like a regular dose to something, you get, the colors and everything, and they like almost feeling of like euphoria. Because after you meditate for like an hour or two or something, like you're able to see some crazy shit if you're really able to sit there and focus and stuff. I personally had an experience with mushrooms where it was like one of those moments where it's like, yeah, like you said, like revealing the grid, where I got like launched into space basically and got to view like time or like reality almost as like a Netflix catalog where you like scroll through. It was like the most out of body experience I've ever had. And I had a full on like ego death panic attack sort of thing where I'm like everything got erased and like scratched out from the ground up entirely. Like I forgot my name. I forgot like everything, like my essence about me or something. And it was really like a rude awakening or something. And then it was like, this is the universe with nothing. And then it was just like black and like, and then it just kind of expands out. And then I was sent back to the couch where I was doing the mushrooms on. And it was like, it felt like 1,000 years, but it was like 2 hours or something. But
it's so interesting. And it's in the pursuit of logic. It's tough for me to like think of this more than just a human experience. You're taking this drugs and you're obviously taking something that's doing chemicals in your brain, but there could be something like, do feelings have a bigger empirical effect on things around us than we think? Like, can you influence stuff with feelings? Can you invite a distant consciousness here just through?
They say you influence your plants with feelings. Like if you feel a certain way, if you're feeling negative all day, your plants would droop a lot. And then vice versa with it, if you're having like a more positive experience, your plants would be more.
I mean, I think it 100% makes sense that your feelings, because like you could do the same thing, but if your car broke down like right before, you're going to feel differently about getting lunch or whatever than like if your car didn't break down. So it's like just extrapolating that, if you're amplifying your feelings with the use of like meditation or something, like I think you could get more in touch with like
subtle changes around you
and your environment and stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
this is a sponsor break. Please sponsor us.
Whoa. I gotta go to.
No, a UFO's abducting me. Oh.
Whoa.
I used to like not be the biggest like animal guy. Like I just used to like pets and stuff. But like now I feel so connected to animals where it's like, I don't even feel comfortable with like killing bugs. Like I don't like killing bugs. Like, like just let it outside. Like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
It's where you get to, I think that's like a stage you get to where you start to like, wait, this bug's a living thing. Like I try not to kill cockroaches. Sometimes I'll resort to it, but I try to capture them and whip them off my balcony.
Yeah, they'll survive that. They fly. Dude, even like.
Do you think like bugs, like if a butterfly or something like gets in your car and you drive like 4 miles away and then it goes out? Do you think it's like, fuck, I don't know where my family is, or like
not at all?
They experience that?
Not at all. I think it's like ones and zeros. It's like sleep, kill,
it's
fuck.
Like, yeah, am I over here now?
Pollinate?
Yeah. It's like, am I gonna miss my sister's birthday?
Well, dude, also like just even like trying to imagine what it'd be like to experiencing like even like a cat's perspective. They see different colors, they perceive stuff differently. So for them, sound, they can hear like what's happening like 3 blocks away. They can probably smell something weird. It's like
the distance perception as well.
Just even what they see, like, do we look the same, or I don't know. It's a very interesting perspective. Like I think bugs just see like geometric shapes. They're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, dude. And also like if
the other crazy thing is like flies, where they have like they have. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know the proper terminology, but they're seeing like 50 of like each angle. Like it's like there's right in front of you, then there's like another hexagon with like some other shit, and like there's all this different stuff going on, and they can like they don't have to move their head at all. Like,
and we were
talking
about this in the blind cop meeting, how octopus, each leg is a different brain. So it can like act independently. So you're just like, parts of you are just thinking for itself and moving. You're just like one little middle piece that connects like 5 beings.
And do you think, I wonder if it's like thinking that separately, or if it's still like one soul self, or is each tentacle like it's like the three of us like
operating on I think they're operating on impulse, where it's like let's say you're out in the woods. Yeah, it's like you're out in the woods and like you're walking without your shoes on. You're not like actively thinking of like, oh, okay, I'm going to move my third toe to like grip the dirt a little more. It's just like you're just doing it, you know? Like it's just like you're instinctually doing it. Like you're not actively thinking. Yeah, like
they got to have some sort of memory though, and like maybe they don't. Because some things have the foresight though, but yeah. I feel like
because there's octopus that has friends that with like humans. Like humans have gone back and forth to visit the same octopus, and it like recognizes them. Even fish too. Like there's like stories of one.
Is that just the human though? Can like an octopus be friends with like an eel? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know if anyone's ever recorded anything with, like a friendship like that, or if that's even been attempted to be witnessed.
I mean, there are videos of like cats and dogs being friends, you know?
Yeah. And a fox and like,
those are 2 domesticated animals. Yeah. Like it's so, I'm just loving this shift into animal talk, but, like when you see like a fox and a bear actually like hang out and just be friends, you're like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Like that's so fucking cool. I want that on a t-shirt. Dude, so also going back to the cats and dogs seeing in different colors and wavelengths and stuff, like there's a whole thing about like cats and dogs can also see like ghosts or possibly even aliens because they can see like infrared or like in other color layers and stuff. So maybe I'm sure some things are visible to them that aren't, because there's also all those recordings of cats or dogs barking or staring at like a corner in the wall or just like at somewhere.
That's true.
And but they also could be hearing something far away.
And think about like, what if they're just always thinking, they're always seeing that stuff, and then you're just there too, and they see you. So it's like, you're not their only owner. Them. There's like 50 fucking pirate ghosts and like skeletons or whatever hanging around them.
What if there's a connection between ghosts and aliens? Because then if the aliens are interdimensional, and like maybe they're not ghosts, like maybe we just think because humans were there, humans died there, whatever, like there's got to be a higher population of ghosts there. But like, what if there are just ghosts / aliens everywhere? We attribute more value to like haunted places, but like it's just like some extra dimensional being. That's
when you die, you could just get knocked down to the second dimension, and ghosts are like people like who just can't let go to try to like get back. At least like, I'm not ready.
That's terrifying. Well, I think that's why aliens is like the ultimate answer. It explains everything.
Yeah.
Religion.
It puts the pieces together. Yeah.
Got it. What else?
Got it. Done.
Tech. Yeah, that explains it. I think we're looking for a safe answer. Yeah, maybe it's also disappointing. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe like, they're aliens. They suck, dude. They're like so far behind us.
Well, there was like a New Yorker. Yeah, there was like a New Yorker cartoon or something, and it was like, we finally find like aliens, but they're not intelligent life. They're like dumb as rocks. Like
it's just bacteria.
It's like you go to like some planet with lava, and they just keep jumping in the lava or some shit. Like they don't.
It's warm.
Yeah, dude, that means we're it, dude. That means we're the smartest people in the galaxy.
What was that theory where it's like the Great Wall or like the Great Blockade or something, where it's like every civilization gets to a certain point and there's like this impossible like task to overcome.
The Great Filter.
From becoming
Filter.
Yeah, the Great Filter. Yeah. That prevents them from becoming like an intergalactic species, and depending on your innovation, if you can get over that obstacle. So it's like, are we at that?
I think it's just like it's so easy for it to get wiped out. But what's weird about this is like, I don't know if this is just America, but America's like pretty young. like what, 250 years. The Greeks had thousands of years, but they still got wiped out. So it's I think it's like life's a little precious. Like it's probably easy to get hit by an asteroid, or you just fall into a black hole or something.
One of my friends I think he's just finished his PhD in astrophysics, and I was talking with him about like supernova events and whatnot, and he's like, I was like, yeah, so like all the things we see in space is you're seeing in the past. So it's not like we're witnessing it happen, because the light has to travel a certain distance and you get it back, and like, okay, this is what happened a long, long time ago. So one, we can't right now weird. Find out if there's So he also was like, yeah, if something crazy happens, like we would never know, because we have predictive technology, but we've never seen anything happen in real time, and we wouldn't be able to react enough. Like if a star just exploded next to us, or like just something like a giant asteroid, like we would never really be able to see it coming to a certain extent. There's just like, predictive and protective stuff they haven't planned.
It's a weird space we live in. It's like a black void, and there's some like really bright lights once in a while, and around those is a little stations, and there's a lot of space we think we can't see. There's no lights in this area, but for all we know, there could be just like a bunch of like intergalactic real estate that's left behind, like a bunch of like 7-Elevens or something.
Yeah, there's like McDonald's somewhere
there.
Dude, honestly, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy probably has like one of the best interpretations of what could be going on.
You said you like the book more than the movie, right?
Oh yeah.
The movie's kind of dumb, dude. The books are awesome. Well, I haven't read the sequels, but I've read the first one. The first one's awesome.
Okay. I just got a library membership.
You would really like it. Wiz, you would really like it. It's very funny. It's very easy to read. It's I'm not trying to imply you're stupid or anything.
It's very easy. It's not big woods.
I gotta say, I don't respect audiobooks. I don't respect people that read books through audiobooks. Now, I'll listen to that stuff, but I don't say I read the book, Yeah.
It's like I have an understanding of the book.
I passively listen to someone talk about it.
I kind of agree. Like that's the other thing is like I never really listen to audiobooks. Like a lot of my friends were like, oh, growing up, every time I was like cleaning or whatever, I would listen to an audiobook. And I was like, I just didn't have that experience. I feel like they sound great for car trips, but like I always just listen to music or podcasts. But like,
see, even then, I feel like podcasts are better in a way anyway. But I guess it is an easy way to if it's like a storybook, I feel like it's more valid as well.
Well, Wiz, 50% of books are storybooks, so
that's true. Yeah.
I read a lot of nonfiction. I'm trying to move more to story and narrative and stuff, but I don't know. I've
been reading nonfiction's cool. I've been reading this one book for like a long time now. I haven't been very disciplined about it, but been trying to finish this Cormac McCarthy book, and it's just very dense and like takes a while to like get through.
Is that Blood Meridian?
Yeah. And I've read 2 of his other books and they weren't nearly as like difficult to read. But this one's like a bunch of stuff will happen in like 3 pages and you're like, wait, what? Like it takes a little bit to piece it all together. But it's super violent, which is kind of sick. But like,
is that unadaptable, as they say, to cinema?
It's pretty difficult. I don't think it's unadaptable because, I mean, they say Dune's unadaptable, and I think Denis doing a pretty decent job adapting that. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just like any adaptation where you just need to like filter out what is and isn't important. Like, like in the first 14 pages, like the main character goes from Tennessee down to the South. Like out west, and like he meets like all the like just a lot happens in each chapter, and it would just be like if you just perfectly adapted it, it would be like a 20-hour movie. Like it would be forever. So like I don't know.
You
also,
have to pick up part of it.
Yeah, and also like you'd have to have balls to do it right because it's very like racist and very violent and very like I mean, it's like the book, like Cormac isn't racist, but it's like they call like every black character is just called the N-word. Like, you know, it's just like shit like that where it's like,
wow,
you would have to, yeah. There's one part in the book where they get this new, like the book's pretty much about this kid joining this gang to like go kill Indians and Mexicans. Like that's what the book's about. And, there's a part where like one of the guys in the gang gets this new revolver. He's like, let me just test it out. And like the line in the book is he aims it at a cat and he like pulls the trigger and the cat just like disappears. Like it just like it's not there anymore. Yeah, it's a good book. It's not a light read, but it's like a good read.
Is it
No Country for Old Men's like
at all? Is it all like serious? Because I've seen photos where I'm like, I don't know, where I've got the feeling there's like cannibals in it or something crazy.
There's some, it's not really like fantastical. It's definitely very grounded. It's written in like a really like, I would say the writing kind of makes it feel fantastical, but it's not, there isn't any like, it's not like a heightened reality or anything. It's like definitely playing it pretty realistic.
Dude, you know what I just watched last night? That was awesome. Was The Holy Mountain.
Have I seen that?
I
think I've seen that.
Bortniker movie.
Dude, that's on my...
Oh, no, I've seen El Topo. I haven't seen The Holy Mountain.
It was just so... You got to watch it, dude. It was so incredible, so impressive. They, like, built these massive sets that are just, like... The amount of work put into it for a seemingly random idea, like, not everything makes, you could say, like, a logic sense, but it makes a cinematic sense. It's just... It's... If you did that now, people would call you crazy. And there's weird shit, like, bunch of people naked, like a child prostitute scene, like weird stuff you wouldn't be able to do. Like there's like they're touching actors while they're naked and then like sticking his fingers up their anus. Like you did that. If you do that now, you'll go to jail. But it's on on beautiful celluloid and it's forever like captured that these people went for the art. And it goes to the point where partway in the movie, the actors take LSD and they like act in scenes and like just all on. It's crazy.
Like the actors took LSD or the characters took LSD?
Both. Yeah. It's
both. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was a really impressive like piece of like what you can accomplish. And I think also just on this, like how it is today, at least in the American market with film, we're so logic and story based. This has to lead to that. This has to make sense. Where this was like freeing and creative and like, so because of so fun to watch.
Were you like entertained? Because whenever I saw El Topo, I was kind of like, I appreciated it, but I was kind of like bored. Is it like engaging or is it kind of just like, oh wow, this is really impressive, but like I'm not really connected to what's happening?
I think it's engaging. I think you can get a little lost in it though. You have to, here's the thing with these type of movies, you have to be patient and then they'll like reveal itself to you. Like it can be tough to watch an old movie because you're like, it's kind of a pain to get through. That's why that's why I haven't been able to watch the Stalker Guys catalog. It's so bad. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm gonna get shit.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick. The worst Stanley Kubrick.
Stalker Guys.
The guy that just copied Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, no, I know you're talking. But what's his name?
Very, very forgettable.
Tarkovsky.
Tarkovsky. But it's the same reason it's been tough for me to be patient with his movies, because sometimes it can be a pain to get through. But then when you watch it, you're like, oh, it feels good.
I also feel like those movies, like his movies, are really good to wait to see in a theater, because I feel like if you're just watching it at home, the temptation to just check out is so easy.
It demands a lot, and you could be like,
it demands a lot,
and people could be yelling at the screen and like, calling us pussies because we're not able to give it that. But yeah, it can be a lot. Like, I understand. It's also like, then just watch it. But anyways, Jodorowsky, I liked it. I mean, you could get lost in it if you're not able to be patient with it. Also smoked a bit, and that helped. And it was a nice setup at my buddy's house. He has like almost like a little private theater. But it was, I was like kind of freaked out at parts, and then there's parts that are deeply like meaningful. Like if you were on psychedelics watching this, you'd have the trip of your lifetime, where they just touch on death and like stuff where you're like, whoa. And also incredible effects, incredible scale. I guess apparently John Lennon and George Harrison funded it. They
have a good track record. Funding Holy Mountain and Life of Brian, like that's a fucking crazy, like
that is crazy
executive. Like,
well, I didn't even realize too, they never fully experienced what the byproduct of the seeds they laid down. Like they all kind of passed. Those two passed before the resurgence of the Beatles and shit. Like Holy Mountain came out. Everyone was like, "This sucks, dude. What is this?"
Yeah.
Shit? It was inspiring. It was very incredible. Just knowing, we know what hard movies are, and then every scene has 100 extras. They're all nude, incredible set, and there's fucking a camel and like a goat. Like, where do they get this shit? There's a dude who's like, there's a paraplegic, and then a dude takes his eyeball out. Stuff like that, where you're like, how do you even get these?
Oh my god, dude! Some of the imagery in this movie is awesome. Very like Tarot Party in a lot of aspects.
Dude, I saw you have it on your watch list on Letterboxd.
I do, dude. I'm watching Shin Ultraman first, and then I'm gonna watch this.
I need to see that. I need to see Shin Godzilla too. That looks actually really cool.
Dude, that movie's crazy.
I really need to see. I can't find it on streaming ever though.
It was on Max, I think, but I think
I just need to like bite the bullet and either pirate it or just buy it on Apple or some shit.
Oh, it's on Crunchyroll. If you have Crunchyroll,
I have your Crunchyroll.
You do. So actually, oh shit, is it on here? Let me see. Oops.
All I have now is Criterion. I don't pay for anything else. I do Criterion, or I pay, or I rent them on YouTube for like $2.
Yeah, YouTube is great. I just got a Tubi as well.
Tubi. I need to watch. I kind of want to I want to do like a Tubi binge. I got to see some of this stuff.
It's kind of sick. Free? There's a lot of. It is free. It's completely free, and there's a lot of shit.
I respect that it's free. Like, yes, 90% of it is garbage, but like, it's free. I mean, it has ads, right? But like, fuck it, dude. Like,
yeah,
we're like the whole streaming thing.
I can't do ads. Can't do ads of movies. It ruins them.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, you can pay to remove them, but
yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I mean, I think if I'm like if I'm streaming something, I think free with ads is better than like paying $17 a month for Netflix or whatever, Like, I feel like the whole promise of streaming has been a fucking lie, Like, I think Netflix had a fun run and then everyone copied them, and then everyone's realizing, like, I mean, because Disney and Hulu are increasing their prices. HBO is like gutting their catalog. It's just like, this is not the like ideal scenario that it was made out to be.
Dude, it's crazy.
Disney Plus goes like $5 a year.
It's crazy in hindsight how much of a fucking like Ponzi scheme it was, because I remember in COVID, that's kind of when streaming went big. Remember, Disney is still kind of a new streaming site that started in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
And it became
$20
a
a
billion-dollar
month now.
business. So you notice what they did is they paid everyone good money, got the good movies on there, built up that rep for a year, and then they started tightening. They started upping the prices after a year or two. So this is how much we pay for it. And then paying people less. So it was like a money squeeze. How much money can we squeeze out? And I think that's move
all it is.
Like what you're mentioning is back to the cable model, where it's just
it's gonna go back to the cable model.
Here's what free TV is. You watch a movie and we fucking splice that bitch up and the cliffhangers and put ads in it. And if you want to see the real thing, go to the theater. And I'm okay with that.
Or buy it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dude, honestly, if we do full 180 into just free services with ads, and then they bring back DVDs and shit, that would be awesome. I'd be so down for that. And honestly, for them, from their point of view, that makes the most money too. Ads in their stuff, buying a physical thing.
Yeah, we don't get booklets anymore.
If everyone's unsubscribing from your service because you keep hiking the prices, then it's not as profitable for you anyway. I don't understand the business side of it either.
I think people are willing to accept ads too, because with TV, I think it's more put it on the background. I'm doing homework or masturbating or something, and you're just having it on. You don't need to pay attention to it 100%. So that's where it makes sense to have TV, have commercial breaks where you can go take a shit or do what you need to do.
And then even with the ads too, though, they're still making money from the sponsors that are paying them to.
Well, I feel what could happen is each streaming service has either a free or a really cheap option with ads. And then for the people that are oh, I want to binge The Office with no ads, you can pay for the expensive version of that one service that has that.
And that's the Spotify thing. We kind of Spotify the film business. There's that Black Keys interviews where they talked about Spotify, how instead of the money's going instead straight to the artist, it's going to the platform, and then it's milled out and everyone gets pennies.
Yeah.
So it maybe should be, that would, that's better for art because you're directly putting money towards the thing you want and you're promoting that, but that helps the business. If we go back to ads, that's more work for us film guys too. We got to make more ads and stuff. It blows my mind the amount of money that's put into ads and how dumb they all are.
Dude, it's almost like they figured out the whole business model 50 years ago, and we're just going on a tangent, and then we're gonna go back.
Dude, the new monkeys spawn in, and we're ooh, fucking hit wrenches against the system. We're okay, it works good. Let's go back to how it was.
Well, it's also why Disney started their own streaming service instead of just licensing out to other services is kind of beyond me, because it's yes, are there diehard Disney people? 100%. Disney has some of the highest grossing properties ever. But it's if I'm sitting down and I'm an adult that doesn't go to Disney World twice a year, and I'm thinking, what do I want to watch tonight? I never go on Disney Plus. Never. Because stuff that I'm interested in, they have Star Wars, but I don't even care about the new Star Wars stuff. So it's it's too I feel their brand is too everything's kind of the same. There's no adult stuff on Disney. There's no there's a bunch of kids stuff. I mean, if you have kids, having Disney Plus makes a ton of sense. But for everyone else, I don't know.
Well, think about this.
Yeah,
it's because they're
Boondock Saints.
They're watering down their platform, because the whole point of a platform like this is it needs to appeal to the most general audience, the most amount of people possible. So in turn, you're watering down art, because the things you're paying for in greenlighting need to be safe, need to work, need to be the same IP. So we gotta, let's just reboot this old shit so people remember that we get is the most audience possible. So it's really fucked up film in a very sad way at the moment.
Well, and also, I don't know if you saw that interview with the CEO of either Warner Brothers or Discovery or something, but they were talking about HBO or about Max. And they're like, yeah, like only like a few properties really bring in like the most viewership. So like they're just like gutting stuff that doesn't get that many eyeballs. And it's like, that's no way to run. Because then like if you just gutted stuff that didn't get that many eyeballs, we wouldn't have any Breaking Bad. We wouldn't have Game of Thrones, like all the stuff that no one really watched in the first couple seasons or whatever. Like it's just such a bad like business model.
Because you're not building your catalog either. It's like, don't you want people to have options as well?
Yeah.
To find eventually, but
and it just it ultimately just hurts the little guy. Like it's funny how at first this new tech was a boost. It's a democracy of the business. Everyone get their movie on Amazon Prime, and then Amazon Prime after a couple of years, like, oh, this gets 3 views a year. Let's just kick it out here. We don't want it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fucked it up the business, but it does seem like because of the strikes, because of what's going on, the business.
Dude, I hope the strikes fuck them up so bad that they have to release their numbers. Like that would be.
No, they're
because that's the biggest thing. Like, how many people actually watch so much of this stuff? If it's more than we think, that's awesome. If it's less, then like that's good to know. But like the whole residual conversation is like so important. I feel like because that's how you know what people actually want to see. You know.
But it definitely feels like it's heading towards these institutions crashing. It's kind of feels, and I think that's I think it's a good place to be. That's where, you know, you get like the rise of the 60s, 70s indie revolution, money going maybe directly more towards artists. So it would be sweet, but it does feel like a big crash going to have to happen, or we're going to have 10 more Avengers movies. And I don't know if I can handle that, you know, and I don't
even think another one's coming up again already,
but it's not sustainable, dude, because they're like Endgame was the Endgame for Disney. Like they can't keep making $300-400 million movies and think that they're going to have the same turnout as pre-pandemic. Like it just has to change. Like Flash bombed. What else bombed?
Indy 5
bombed. $300 million movie. Like,
I think Ant-Man
and it didn't even bomb. It made $100 million, and they're like, Ant-Man bombed. It's like, and how much money did they make? Oh, they made $100 million. It's a bomb.
Black Adam bombed as well.
It's the worst financial hit this company's had. It's they're so dumb. Like, I think we did the math for the budget of The Flash. You could have made 2,500 movies of a similar budget of what we had to work with. And that's like rounding up or some shit. So
and that's not including promo.
That doesn't mean there should be 2,500 of these movies every year, but you know what I mean? It's just like the allocation of costs into one like project that's watered down and it hits the most general audiences and it has the most cameos, ends up just being a huge conglomerate of like, I guess, money laundering into one thing, because these pussy ass investors are afraid to invest their movie in invest their money in a movie that might fail. But it's like you could do the John Lennon, George Harrison, seed out a little bit to a couple different projects. And see what happens. I have a lot of hope because I feel like all these things bombing. This gets into my side tangent of convincing Wiz not to see Aquaman too, but I feel like
I'm so fucking hyped to see a baby get murdered by this. It's be so
Wiz, for the few, I know you like Aquaman. Fucking watch it after the theatrical run, please. For the love of God, let that movie bomb. Like. This has to happen. Like
I'll sacrifice for the fight. Yeah, in solidarity.
These movies have to keep bombing so that like we can make movies.
Yeah, that's true. I'll sacrifice it for Blank.
No, you can see it if you want, but like
I don't go to Max like a week later anyway. So.
That's the thing. Like,
and then it'll be taken off.
Differences. Yeah.
Because they're restarting the universe. So
I think. Because like if these movies keep doing bad, and by bad I mean they make $100 million and it's still the worst financial hit ever, then like they're gonna have to change it up. And I am optimistic because like Talk to Me was like that made so much money, dude. Like, it's such a good business model to make a $3 million movie and get like $50 million. Like, that's such a great, like,
people want good movies
who would have
now
thought
too.
of that? Yeah, it's like, who thought of that? And it's like, it's almost like they did that for 100 years before now. Like, what the?
And instead, they're trying to redo Indiana Jones, and Harrison Ford's like, "All right, I need $100 million, and I'm gonna sit in a chair the whole time."
I have a theory about that,
face.
I have a theory about Indiana Jones, though. I think what happened was, like, I don't know if you remember, like 5 years ago or so, like Chris Pratt was blowing up, and they're like, floating the idea of Chris Pratt doing a reboot as Indiana Jones. And I feel like Harrison Ford was probably like, fuck that. I'm Indiana Jones. I'll do another one just to like definitively be him. You guys can make your like corporate swap or whatever, but I'm fucking Indiana Jones. And this ends with
taking the 50 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take it to the grave.
That's probably what happened. I think he was like, if you guys are, it's the same thing with Matrix 4. It's like, okay, if you guys are going to make another Matrix movie, I'm making it, and I'm making it shitty with me, you know? Like, I think that's kind of what happened.
And, like, I'm cool with big budget. Like, if it's a big budget movie, you got to take a massive swing. You have to be ready to make a major failure because you could hit it out of the park and transcend the fucking, just push the boundaries of the art.
But, dude, fucking Tenet and Dune, these movies have like $150 million budgets. They're infinite. Like, you can see the budget on the screen, like, how the fuck did Indiana Jones cost $300 million? Like,
it's probably CGI costs.
So bloated. Yeah.
And again, actor fees, like, some of these legacy guys can really ask for a lot of money, and everyone attached to it can see it as a big payday because, of course, it's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah,
right?
It's Harrison Ford.
Of course,
yeah,
come on.
He is like a critical part of.
Let's look up how much he made off that.
Human culture at the moment too. So
I love Harrison Ford. He's like one of my favorite. Like, I was going to say actor. He's just like one of my favorite like movie stars ever. But like,
yeah, he's like a classic movie star.
Yeah, he's like the quintessential. But he's 80 now, dude.
25.
Like, shit's changed.
Yeah,
that's not too crazy.
I would make Dial of Destiny for $25 million.
Yeah.
What's the other girl's name?
And it felt like a more definitive.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Whoa. Excuse me.
Wait, what's that Reddit thread? Is Phoebe Waller-Bridge responsible for Dial of Destiny? What, bombing or?
Let's see.
Cost the movie $100 million. I thought what you were getting at with your Chris Pratt theory was that he was going to be this like a son or something, but then he kind of, fell out of public favor.
Oh yeah, that was supposed to be Shia LaBeouf, right?
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf was his son. That already happened.
He's like, my son's dead.
And then he just just died or like left or something.
No, well, like Chris Pratt was Star-Lord, and everyone's like, "Oh, he can do anything." And then they were like, "What if you're Indiana Jones?" And I like seriously think Harrison Ford was like, "Fuck that! Like, I'm not letting some guy be my character."
Dude, he made as much as a CEO.
Disney.
He made more than the CEO. We got to pay the CEOs more, dude. They're not getting enough.
I don't know if you followed any like that fired CEO Bob Chapek. He was CEO of Disney for like 6 months because Bob Iger stepped down, and Bob Chapek was like so bad at being CEO that Bob Iger came out of retirement to like run it again.
Who are like these people in these positions? Who are these people? They just like
what
hard and like
what are they? Yeah,
businessy or just I think like they're probably legacy people that just paid their dues in a way.
Well, they're like serial CEOs that have like they were the CEO of like some media company, and then you get like you get a better job, and then you like
bunch of control.
Did you see there was an interview with there's an interview with Bob Iger where they were like, so like Disney not doing great right now. And like in good news, he's like, yeah, we might sell off some of our assets like National Geographic or like I think they own ESPN.
They do, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah,
so they might, but I saw that just something that's been floated. I've seen this like in multiple places. I'm like, this is a horrifying future, which I don't think would happen, but like the prospect of it happening is horrifying, where it's like, it was like Bob Iger plans to like sell off assets and then eventually sell Disney to Apple. And it's like,
I heard that. I heard that rumor.
Yeah.
Like, talk about a monopoly. Like, that would be insane. Like,
that's a
I don't
big
think
blanket.
That's a. And then I was just thinking about like, what would Apple do with fucking Disney parks? Like,
they would, they'd put all the content in their little new Apple Vision goggles.
Yeah. And Apple TV. Yeah.
And then right when you're born, they like staple it to your face. And that's how we turn into aliens, dude. And
we live in a VR, and then it turns into the Matrix.
What do you guys think about the Apple Vision Pro? I'm kind of curious what you guys think about that.
I feel like it's a bad idea. I feel like it's a bad idea. Because
I wouldn't own it, but I would love to try it.
I already think about like how much my eyes hurt and how much I think they're fucked up from staring at screens all day for work. And then thinking about something like right here, it just doesn't seem like a good, it seems like you're going to go blind and you're going to become like a fucking incel type guy.
Yeah. The most appealing part, I was like, fuck this. And then when they showed the one part on the plane where you can like turn it and like close out the plane and you can have like an 100-foot movie screen in front of you, I was like, that's kind of cool. Like if you're on a plane or something, or like that would be sick.
But there's weird modes. There's like turn on fake eyes mode so you could talk to your daughter.
Yes,
I'm listening. I'm listening.
It's just a camera. Yeah.
The part where it was like, you can record your daughter's birthday and like relive it like you were just there. I'm like, that's weird. Like, why don't you just?
That's like a setup in a Black Mirror episode.
You just like, there's like a photo from that birthday party. He's like, where was your dad? And he's like, he's in the corner with the visor on.
He's like watching VR porn. He's not even like, he's not even recording anything.
That's what I like about film, where it's like, it's, you know, you're using an instrument. Obviously, the most important element is the human element. But you're using an instrument as the like visual eye of the piece, and you're moving around. It's really, that's what I love about it. There's like intention behind everything, every move. And then just wearing a goggle and filming your POV all day is sacrilege. Yeah.
I saw someone say something about film, just I guess film in general, which is kind of interesting, which is like the camera, like a camera is like an objective device, you know, like it just captures what's in front of it. Like, yeah, there are factors
in
like
one
the settings
dimension
or like the lens or whatever, but it's like the camera doesn't have any like subjective experience of what's going on.
I would say like look at Lord of the Rings. You could say it's subjective how they do like
No, the filmmaking is subjective. The filmmaking, but that like not the camera. It's kind of like how you can detect. It's the same thing where it's like the camera pulls like it detects bullshit acting, you know, like it's like a black box that you can't escape. And like, I don't really know what my point was, but
that's why I agree. No, you're making sense. Beep beep, aliens speak. Aliens communicate.
Aliens invented cameras.
But that's where it goes back to the film thing, and I'm like, maybe Quentin was right when he was sounding the alarms about the end of film projection is the death of film, because there is something to capturing the image on a real thing, piece of celluloid, and forever saying we did this. So like when you film a scene, like going back to the Holy Mountain, it's on film. The people were there. This is captured. The light bouncing off of the scene is going onto this object. Where with digital, it's like this is the computer's interpretation of what just happened through that lens.
It's like drawing it out in a way.
It does make it does make it more of a democratic art, and like we wouldn't have been able to make movies without digital at this stage in our career. But it does make me earn to shoot on film, because there is something about earning the image and like just using the celluloid to capture.
I agree, but also you can do stuff with celluloid, like have like the Star Wars effects. Like they didn't capture all that in camera, you know? It's like Quentin's like kind of unique because like
they capture it all on film. You know what I mean?
True, but it's not like a Quentin movie where it's like, oh, you're literally seeing what they saw on set that day for the most part. It's like it's still like there is still like not computer, but like there's optical effects going on that like,
and it's,
I don't know.
I guess like the argument is like, has that stuff helped the industry, visual effects, the digitization of film? Has it helped the art? There's some
it's
cool
definitely
movies.
hurt cinematography.
Like there's shit like
it's
Fincher.
Like and hurts.
Fincher uses CGI very cool.
I feel like we kind of hit like a peak in
Jurassic Park.
Like well, like I was gonna say the peak was like 2007 Transformers 1, where it's like
oh dude,
it's like great. We're doing something that you could only do with CG and it looks awesome, and we're using it as a tool, and we're not using it to like add a gun that Nick Fury's holding in a scene that like we could just make with a prop, you know? Like I feel like it was a tool back, and then now like it's gotten to the point now, like because it was just too expensive back then, but now it's like, okay, Dune clearly has VFX, but like they're very tastefully and like thoughtfully done. It's not just like
efficient.
But imagine a reality where 2007's Transformers came out, but it was all done with Phil Tippett's stop motion and animatronics for close-ups.
Dude.
I mean, it would have been cool, but like, I don't think that. I think that's just like that's an imaginary. Like, I think it's just like we're gonna have computer generated effects, and it's like, where is like the best balance of that? And I feel like 2007 Transformers is like probably, I don't know. Then there's like Avatar 2, and it's like that could have only been made like in the past 5 years.
Incredible.
So like,
But even that one took like 10 years to make.
And it's obviously a preference, and it's a dumb debate because it's already here and it's a tool. But I think just saying for me, like the aspect of it being done in camera is kind of, there's something special.
Oh, I 100% prefer it.
And you're still transported to a different world. If it can do both of those, that's the perfect like intersection for a movie.
When it's also more like, this is I still haven't seen Oppenheimer. I know, but like from what I understand, they didn't use any CG. So like the fact that it's all in camera is like super impressive. Like whether it's just like giant explosions, I know they did some like microscopic stuff or whatever, but like whenever like
how they did it, the explosion was microscopic.
Well, I saw. I try not to see too much because I didn't want it spoiled, but I saw that like for some of the like particle there's like inserts or whatever of like particles. These YouTubers like recreated some of the effects, and it was like glitter or something and a thing of water, and they just like swirl it around and like shine a light on, like very like creative stuff that honestly.
Is that what he did, or is that what?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it that deep because I haven't seen the movie and I don't want it spoiled. But
I feel like Nolan Nolan's the type of guy to get like Zeiss to make him a lens that can look through, like look at atoms.
Look through time, yeah.
He's like, we need a micro lens. Very micro.
Yeah, super micro lens.
Well, I mean, they shot on IMAX, so I'm sure they did have some like special made lenses just for that. Dude, shooting on IMAX would be so sick. It's like, nope, that movie looks awesome. Like that's just the most recent.
Yeah. Yeah, how do you guys feel about their interpretation of the alien? That movie, I thought that was
such a fresh take on the alien. Where the UFO
I never would have thought.
Was there like almost like a sea creature? Felt like you're like on
the
bottom of the ocean and it's gonna suck you in.
Yeah.
I gotta piss so bad. I'll be right back.
Oh, it's taking a piss break.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I like the idea of half of the podcast being about aliens and half of it is shitting on Disney.
Yeah.
That's what's great is you hide the shit talking.
Yeah. He's a little force people to listen through.
And I was thinking like this is for me, people are invited, but is someone really gonna want to listen to this for like 2 hours?
Yeah.
That person, I appreciate them listening to it for that long. Thanks for sticking through that.
Yeah.
But most people will not.
Yeah. Hey, Isaac.
Yeah.
This was a great sesh. Hopefully, boys, you're welcome to come back on.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, it's always a pleasure. And until next time.